We already have like people.
Well, I have your list, but nobody's showed up. I'm working on pulling up the citizens guide, but that's not helping either.
Yeah, the internet is slow. And I thought mine is not, but opening eScribe, it was super slow and actually wouldn't even open.
Yeah, it was not this slow this afternoon, and I was able to pull it up no problem here, and now I'm frustrated because I don't know if we'll have a citizens guide. But I'm wondering if anybody's gonna show up.
Yeah. And I don't know if there is a
Yeah, it's
space
just,
for public comment anyway. There is. And also, I don't know if it's gonna be the regular board meeting.
we'll make her co-host. Hey, Emmy, this is Amanda. I wanted to let you know we are streaming live on YouTube now, and I have you as a co-host. If you need to help rename anybody, you can certainly do so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie.
Hello.
So since this is a subcommittee, you do have to call to order and do all that stuff too. And we are streaming live on YouTube, just so everyone knows. And can I ask who just joined? Number 406-544-8604.
Gone.
Can you hear me? This is Paul.
Paul?
Yeah. Sorry, I have to use two different devices. I'm at the office.
Great. I'm going to rename your second device really quick, Paul.
Well, should we start? So this meeting is to determine our next steps with the racially restrictive codes covenants. And so I guess my suggestion would be that HPC reach out to it's the ad hoc committee run by or chaired by Mirtha?
Yes.
Okay. I guess and let them know our concerns and let them know that we would support efforts for a mapping project similar to what Minneapolis or Seattle has. And I am wondering, I mean, it'd be nice to have Leif part of this conversation. And it's my understanding he still hasn't had an interview for the commission.
He has not, no.
And I guess, is there any pressure we can put on them?
Funny you should ask.
Kathy reached out because she knows someone who's interested. So I sent that to HR or not HR, to city clerk, and they're not doing interviews right now just because they don't have staffing capacity. So it was a no. We're still on hold. And I can forward you that email if you want, Jamie.
That's fine. I understand, I guess, but it's really frustrating.
Yes.
Are you talking about the summer intern?
No, just HPC vacancies. So we've had 2 vacancies since January, actually since December. So
And Leif he applied almost a year ago, didn't he?
he applied in, I believe, January. So 7 months ago.
Oh, okay. I thought he applied earlier. So how many people do we have waiting in the wings? Do you know?
We have Leif and then Kathy's acquaintance,
Matt is his name.
Matt.
So I guess that's what I see as the next step. Does anybody else have an opinion?
I definitely want to reach out to the ad hoc committee. I do worry that we'll lose some momentum, but I understand that it's critically important that we say this right and we approach it correctly. So I mean, I see it as a balancing act at this point. I don't want it to get away from us. But I'm also fearful of saying the wrong thing. So I'm more than happy to participate with anything with the ad hoc committee. I like the mapping idea. I thank you for all those links. I really appreciate it. I watched the video and went through the links and everything. And of all things, I actually ended up talking to my grandfather about it. And he's in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh,
And he went, I went, oh, okay. He's 97. He's lived there his entire life. And it was a pretty fascinating conversation with him. And the video had mentioned that, you know, there's kind of a noose around communities. And my grandfather went, so it's a time for reflection for everybody.
yeah. What did he have to say specifically?
He was aware. He said the hardest thing after World War II was some of the servicemen that he worked with, Black servicemen. You know, he can get a house, he can get loans, he can get everything, and he's going to have a job. But not all of his friends would have that. And it was something that I'd also talked to my cousin, and at the time he was the head of United Way. And my cousin is on any number of committees, and he'd gone to my grandfather and said, okay, this neighborhood, was it always lower income housing? What about this neighborhood? And just knowing the evolution of a city. And so there's some lessons there. And I think with this whole process, knowing the evolution of Missoula, but we also have a chance to push things forward and say, this is what we want to be. And especially with all of the affordable housing that's going in, people are automatically, and I heard this again in that video, people are automatically going to go, oh, it's low income housing, so we're just going to shove certain people there. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling at this point.
No, I guess I have those same concerns about the housing that's going in on North Russell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, what is that? What are the guarantees, I guess, that it won't be? I mean, I guess everything else has been trying to integrate and being more diverse, and that one just seems to not be that. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is I think some of this is still ongoing. I mean, just for me in the farm world, and it's access to loans on farmland.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what still happens. It's stunning.
Yeah, and growing up in Havre, there's an Indian reservation on either side, and my dad worked on one, and I had friends on the other, and it's not that much fun. So I think that we do have a chance to do more than a statement, although I think the statement's going to have to probably come first before we can get into making the maps and saying, are you aware?
Yeah.
And,
well,
go
and
ahead.
just looking at how those mapping projects came about, it was both through the universities.
Right. And we definitely should get the university involved. They're going to have, and I know it's going to be a time consuming project. and I'm aware of that. And I know we can all only commit so much, so I would like to suck in the university.
Yeah, and that's where including Leif would be really helpful since that's
And
kind of what he
who is Leif?
sorry, Leif Fredrickson. And he has been, I think he's like a lecturer or adjunct faculty at UM,
Okay,
or the public history sorts of things.
okay, okay.
And he applied to be on the HPC, Kathy.
Okay. What was his last name again?
Fredrickson. So he's from Missoula.
Okay. Does he want to help out with this as a member of the public?
I didn't even ask him, so I'm happy to. Just to, I guess I think it would be beneficial to have a member of HPC, Kathy, as part of the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
You know, just to let them know that we recognize the problems
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know how to address it necessarily. And hopefully those folks will. Did everyone see the, it's just a master's thesis and Dee Taylor was the advisor on it about, it talked about racism in Missoula in 1958, I think. I thought that was really valuable. And I am thinking that one of the families described in that was the Mings. And I think they would still have a memory of available for talking about, what happened. So I think it would be worthwhile to reach out to them as well.
I wonder if reaching out to Matt Lautzenhauer Museum, because they hold so many of the artifacts from the fort.
Yeah, and that too. So.
See, this is Paul. I must have missed the email about the maps and the other project you just mentioned, the master thesis.
Oh, okay. I will send those to you, Paul. And the video too?
I got the video.
Okay. But I think this is more of a long-term thing. I can let you know too, I participate in an organization where they have a whole diversity section. And in meetings, you pause and you ask, how does this affect people of color? Which is really, it's an interesting exercise. I guess our problem is we don't really have a representative. So in this case, we do have representatives, Hispanic and Black and Asian. So it does make it a little easier to do that. But, even just to ask the question, how does this affect those people who aren't represented on the board or on the commission, sorry.
So how often is the ad hoc committee meeting?
I actually don't know. Did you guys read that Missoulian article about kind of the pushback of I think that was their first meeting, which
I must have missed that.
Jamie, I think you sent that along. And it was a 2-hour discussion on early July. And I'm not sure how often they are meeting, but so as staff, you guys can direct me to do whatever you would like, really. But one idea is I could just present this idea and get Mirta, who's the rep for that ad hoc, on the email, and then introduce you, and then maybe the subcommittee could kind of continue that conversation with Mirta.
Okay.
if that's one option.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that would be good.
yeah, and
Thanks.
I'll be more than happy to help out depending on my work schedule. We are taking on another lookout project. So I'm gonna be in and out. But yeah, if there's something I can help with. What is this blinking?
Jamie, you mentioned having a HPC rep possibly, or offering that.
If they're interested in, I guess it's one of those, but yeah, Kathy.
Sure, if I'm in town.
I'll
And
include
it-
that.
Yeah, and if not, I can serve as a sub.
Okay. Yeah, because I won't be at the August meeting. I think we'll be coming back probably about 6 at night from the project, so.
Which lookout is it?
Skookum Butte on the Lolo. So we're gonna be hiking in each day, so just gonna be some long days.
Be fun.
And I got a reminder from our city clerk today that the city is still in our COVID phase. So we are actually technically only supposed to have meetings if there's essential business that we're voting on. So it's possible we won't have our August meeting if there's nothing that we need to vote on too.
So,
And that was actually in reference to this meeting. Time flies. I forgot that was still a thing. So things to think about.
Yeah, it seems like the next meeting is coming up really quick.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Well-
right now, 3 people can't make it. So we would just barely have quorum. And last year we actually didn't have an August meeting, or the year before, because so many people were out of town.
Yeah, August is a busy time.
Might just not have an August meeting, especially because there's nothing to vote on.
Okay.
That's fine. But I think that this conversation can still continue.
Mm-hmm. So, if I talk to the ad hoc committee, do I present the letter that we have and describe what we're doing? Do I wait until I talk to somebody? How does this work at this point? What?
I think given Jim's comments, I would hold, I mean, you can still use the same language from that letter, but just not to make it official.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. What I'll probably do this weekend is have a statement ready, and then I'll run it by you guys to make sure that we're all on the same page.
It was an interesting conversation to when we first started, and maybe it was me not presenting it correctly, but it was one of those things just to really back off from this. But I do think, I mean, obviously we're having the meeting and we do think it's valuable and part of Missoula's history. Maybe not the pretty part, but it exists. And just thinking of, there was a editorial in today's paper about dismantling history. Did you see it, Kelly?
I saw the headline and I was reading the paper at 5:30 this morning and I went, you know what? I haven't even had coffee. I can't stop feeling.
But it's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, and none of us have said anything about that we're dismantling history or that we're hiding it. It's awareness. And I just want to keep pushing that. We're doing awareness.
right. It's history is more multifaceted.
Yeah, history is ugly and messy and complicated. And yeah, and obviously
Written by white guys.
hi Paul.
Thank you.
You know, and I guess, you know, one of the things, if you look at what HBC is supposed to be doing, this I think does fit under that.
Yeah. And I think all of us feel a responsibility, obviously. We know about a problem. And by and large, and again, this was on the video, we're all aware of the problem, and far too often it's just, okay, let's carry on, we're aware. And yeah, but yeah, I've done enough soapboxing, so.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the things that Jim Nugent also mentioned is he's like, well, you should go to the county records and do a research or a search on your property and see what it says, which I'm not sure what ours says, to be honest. I've heard it does, but then I've heard it doesn't. But definitely to identify, you know, some residents in the problematic areas and let them know, hey, if, you know, why don't you do a search or we can help you do a search and see what it says and gain allies that way.
Yeah.
You know, the National Trust has a position on something similar to this as well that is a little bit more neutral in terms of what Jim had suggested. Just for what that's worth, you might look that up in terms of Black Lives Matter.
What does it say, or roughly? Or can you send the
It's
link?
pretty simple and pretty clear, you know, in support and recognition. But that might be a place that the HPC could start with, you know, recognition that perhaps there is structural racism in our own community without identifying where that is or suggesting that that's in any particular location. You know, it could be in National Register nominations for all I know.
I think too, maybe we're looking for specific language, but it's those hidden behaviors that you'll never find.
I found the statement and emailed it to you.
Okay, thanks.
So Emmy, you said something about we have to direct you. Do we have to say something?
You don't have to. You
Okay.
Basically, I'm happy to help, I guess, is what I was trying to say. Yeah.
So do I reach out to the ad hoc committee, or can you email somebody and CC me?
It's up to you guys. What would you prefer? I'm happy to do the initial setup and email if that's better. Or
I would prefer that because I don't know who these people are.
okay, I'll do that. So Mirta Becerra is the chair of the ad hoc, and she's on city council. And I'll introduce, when would you like me to send that email? Just as soon as possible?
Sure. Like I said, I will be out mostly during the week for the next 2 to 3 weeks, but I'd like to at least get this on their agenda or in her head or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And I can CC all three of you too.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's reasonable to see how, Kathy, your conversation evolves with them. And, you know, maybe that will determine some of our next steps, and hopefully I can reach out to Leif with this and let him know what we're thinking. And he, again, just as a public member and somebody at the university, and obviously I doubt there's any funding available for anything like this. But
does somebody need a thesis?
I know, that's the thing. It'd be a fantastic thesis project, and it's very discreet as far as And there are models to use. So,
Well, and we could reach out to Mike Monsos too, because
Yeah.
that's how I've met any number of the students is through him.
and I guess we could think too of any entities that might be interested in funding something like this. I mean, funding a student,
Yeah.
not HPC, but I mean, even like Montana Human Rights Network or something along
Yeah.
those lines, or even just asking them, are there any foundations that would fund work like this?
And you know, just going over all of Jim's emails and just reviewing that, since this is HPC, so it's City of Missoula and we're representatives of the government. Another alternative to think about is to do this, if it would give more power and leeway, I guess, is not through HPC, but just as citizens.
Right.
And, you know, like stating I'm not acting on behalf of the city of Missoula, but
Hmm.
that might make some things more accessible in a way, just something to think about.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that in a previous email, and I thought, let's try the ad hoc committee.
Mhm.
I don't want the city too to think that we're going around them, because we are a commission, city commission, and I know that relationship is tenuous, adversarial, whatever. So I don't quite, and I think it might put you in a quandary, Emmy, if
Don't
we
wanna
do
do
that. And I don't want that. Let's save that for,
Yeah, and I appreciate. Have to this. I'm just remaining as your neutral staff liaison. So, yes, thank you.
Yeah, and that's what I think where the ad hoc committee would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And lend them support at the same time. That we value their existence and their work. So we have our next steps.
I think so. I'll make sure that I have all my statement and what we want to say together. I'll email that to everybody this weekend. It'll be my usual email checking. It might not be for a couple of days, or if I do, it's going to be really late. So, but I will get that out, and then I'll wait and see what the ad hoc committee Mirta says, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully they'll be interested in our input. If
I
they
hope so.
aren't, then
If they aren't, then we have that plan B.
Yeah.
And if we do go with the plan B, we need to make sure that we're very clear that we're doing it as private citizens.
Yeah.
So.
And so I'll reach out to Mirta, and if I leave anything out, like I said, I'll CC you three, and you can, follow up and add if you want to add something that I left, or feel free to do that too.
you do.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I hope that we can do something.
I think we can.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Okay,
you.
See you
Great,
in
thank you.
September then, if not before.
Yeah.